Fantastic. This really excited to be here today. Welcome. This is the first of our new webinar series. We're going to look in detail at people's Seller Central reports and find out really what information we can get from that and how to read them and what things it tells about us. And I'll show you later how you can be involved. There's some really important lessons that we can learn from this particular case study, and I hope you'll be able to use it to find the diamonds in your business. So bit of background on our first case study. First year of operations, got sales of $230,000, which was a fantastic achievement and something he should be very proud of. Our client, he launched 4 products with some variations on those and then dropped one product. And the reason why he dropped that one product we'll see later. And for this case study and for all the case studies, we're going to referring to these products as colours, just to make it anonymous. So we've got colours, the products of red, blue and green. For businesses that have got more than those products, we'll add other colours. And I'm not going to tell you what the products are or what category in, because to be honest, it doesn't matter. We're just looking at the numbers and how to interpret them. The reason we decided to look at this for our client was he was expecting to make a bit more than what he actually did when we ended up doing his financials for the year. And his important issue here is, one, it's important to not just leave it to the very end of the year because you can't do those changes or you can't look at where things are different. And we'll go through some of those things along the way, that there's information in here that along the way he could have made different decisions on. We've come up with a few clients have been coming to us recently, and they've said, okay, can you do my year's worth of accounts? And they're kind of not in a great position where if we spoke to them 6 months ago, they could have done things to address it. The important issue here was whether the low level of profits was going to continue into the future, and what we can learn about those decisions he made in the past, and with the benefit of hindsight, could he have made better decisions, and how we can use those numbers. If we see similar things happening in the future, what can we change now, make it a better result? In the end, he was doing pretty well. There was a couple of accounting issues we looked at, and he had the one product which resulted in some lower profits. But anyway, we'll get to that. So what we asked him to download was some business reports. Now, these are in Seller Central. One of the difficult things about these reports is you can't get them through the APIs, which makes it slightly difficult. So the first one we looked at is under business reports, by date, sales and traffic. Now, this is just all your products into one, and we sorted it by month to make it easy. You can go down by day or by week. And the essential columns that we wanted to get from this were the date, the sessions, the units ordered, the total order items, so the number of or the number of orders, and total ordered product sales, so it's a dollar figure, the average selling price, and the unit session percentage. So we downloaded those and opened them up in Excel. But that only gave us the reports for all his products, because we wanted to go down a bit deeper and see what the differences were in the other, whether there was some products that were doing really well and some products that were doing badly. So we then had to go in and get the products by ASIN, which is the detailed page sales and traffic reports. And again, the central item columns, we wanted the date, the sessions, the units ordered. And I think in Seller Central, you can select which columns you show. So I think there's a little thing on the right-hand side where you can select, I want different columns to be selected. Ordered product sales, average selling price, units, session percentage. With this one, we had to select each month and then download those for each month. So we've looked at it for a financial from July to June. We had to go through and then put those into Excel and start sorting them. So let's look at the big top level overview of the key numbers. So we had sales per profit, sales per product. We can see the black line is total sales. And I've excluded the orange product, which was dropped, which is not really important for what we're looking at here. Since January, the sales have been growing at 10% per month, which is fantastic, and it's primarily due to that blue product. And we had this big jump in December over Christmas. So we'll have a look at why that's happening. Just a thing to remember, sales don't just happen. They're a function of, for a sale to occur, you've got to have someone coming to visit your product page, which is the sessions. And I believe sessions is better than page views in terms of looking at this. And the conversion rate, which is, so someone's got to come to your page and they've got to accept your offer, buy your product. And so the conversion rate, which is the unit session percentage in your Seller Central reports. Now we'll go over what that means and how important a number. And then sales is also a function of price. So we can't just look at sales in isolation. We need to look at sessions and the conversion rate. So let's look at the sessions, and I'll put a trend line in here. We've got total sessions, and we can see that sessions have been steadily increasing. We've got a great increase in sessions along the way. I'm just wondering whether anyone can guess why the sessions have dropped in May, in particular for the blue product. Just use your question and answer section to see if we can guess why the sessions dropped in May. Okay, US tax year. The issue was exactly ran out of stock. So at this point in May, ran out of stock, and we can see that the sessions have actually recovered, but that line should probably have been up a bit higher if he didn't run out of stock. So he did return, still getting similar levels of traffic, but perhaps it could have been higher if he didn't run out of stock. The other products we're seeing this decline in the red product in the sessions and a slight decline in the green product. That's not traveling too badly. We've got a little bump there, etc. We'll come back to this big bump in sessions in relation to a Christmas period. Now, sessions have been growing at 14% since January, so it's a healthy level of growth. So if we look at the conversion rate, I believe the conversion rate is your most important number. So in your Amazon reports, that's the unit session percentage. And I've included the graph in this one for the orange product, which was dropped. The interesting thing about this graph is we've got this blue product, which is basically converting at around 25%, kind of bounces around that period. So it's around 25%. We've got the green product, which is kind of settled in about the 18% mark. Red's got problems. I spoke to the client about this and he said, yes, he did have some quality control issues in relation to the red product, which he's now addressed, and that was part of the reason why we're getting this declining trend. But they're all, from day one, they were all pretty good conversion rates, except for the orange product. Started at 5, by November it increased to 10%, got to 18 and started to drop back. I mean, that's the primary reason why he dropped this product. It just wasn't converting. And as such, he didn't order any more. He's basically, and the conversion rates on this product are really, over this later period, he's selling very few. So it doesn't make too much difference there. Partly it was a seasonal product as well, but it was causing basically drag on his cash flow, so he didn't order any more of that. As a note, the successful clients that we've got have all got, I mean, these ones who have increased their Amazon businesses significantly have all got conversion rates over 20%. If you're not got a conversion rate at that level, that's what you need to be focusing on a regular basis. It should be your prime focus. So let's look at the price. So the price of these products, he does actually test his product pricing on a regular basis, so he's always fiddling with it, and you can see that in relation to these products. Red's kind of bouncing around a bit. Blue, which is a high seller, he's kind of keeping it at a fairly stable level, and green, he's kind of mucking around seeing where it relates to. And we'll look at green more in detail because there's some really interesting things that he's done in the green product that resulted in some massive profits. The important thing is to always be kind of testing where there's market, because the markets are moving. People are coming in, people are going away. The other things we've found is by looking at we've developed a spreadsheet a spreadsheet that enables us to analyse the Jungle Scout data and put it into graphs. And what we did is we graphed, I think there's another video on it where we looked at the garlic press example, where products within any niche, there's usually some low price ones and then some higher price ones. So within any niche, there seems to be a band of people who are selling products at a premium price and a bunch that are selling at a discounted price. And the people in the premium price don't have to sell as much, and they're probably making 10 times the profit. If you have a look on our website, there'll be another example. Look for a webinar on that one where we looked at the pricing issues. Someone's asked, what are the best ways to get your conversion rates up or higher up to that? Probably not the best person to ask on that, but it's something you should always be testing. I mean, there's lots of information out on improving your conversion rates, images, titles, bullet points. Then you can go, we'll go into a bit more on that a bit later. Gross profit in terms of percentages, his gross profit rate's pretty good throughout most of his products. His orange product was a problem because he was basically trying to get rid of it. But what we've got here is a big jump through the December period where he's taken advantage of Christmas selling, and he's basically been testing his products around through this. We'll look at some of those along the way. The red ones, obviously, he's kept it at a high price, but the conversions have been suffering a bit there, which could be due not so much to the price, but due to the quality control issues. The gross profit rate that he's got is, kind of averaging in this 30 to 40% range. That should have been percentages across there. If he's got, which enables him to fund growth. So if you've got a really low gross profit rate, in the 10 to 20% range, it's going to be very difficult for you to fund your growth organically. You're going to have to keep on putting more money in. Now, his sales are growing at 10% per month. So he needs this level of gross profit to be able to fund that organically rather than having to pull in his pocket and get more money out of the mortgage or whatever it happens to be to fund the business. Because each time you buy more stock, you've got to buy, effectively, if he's buying each month, you've got to buy 10% more than last year. If you're if you're unsure about your cash flow, I'm sure most of you would have, but go to dolmanbateman.amazon/Amazon. There'll be a link there to our cash flow spreadsheet, but stay tuned because I've got another version of that coming out, which is far more detailed and far more useful. So, gross profit by product. The issue we can see here is, we'll come back to this period in January, in December, but we've got a high degree of reliance on the gross profit. So he's basically getting $5,000 just from the blue product, and about $7,500 per month in gross profit. Amazon businesses have got very little other expenses, maybe $1,000 a month in other expenses. He is spending a bit in advertising, but it's we've got this high degree of reliance on the profit from one product, and we've got this declining trend that we're seeing from the green and red products. So let's have a look at what we found. So we've been through the overview, and let's look in a bit detail because some questions arise, and let's look at some of the relationships that we can see along the way. There is some important relationships, and what we can see from this is important. The first one is sessions and conversions. Basically, your sessions will follow your conversion rate, both up and down. Now, he's got a pretty good conversion rate. He's got a 25% conversion rate in relation to the blue product, which is driving a lot of the growth. The thing to note here is all these products are on the first page of his main keyword term. They're not, however, in the first 2 or 3. So if he got to that point, there could be other a bit higher as well. These products, he's not at the lower end of the price range. There is some products where he is probably double the price of the lowest price competitor, but he's still on the first page of each one. Your conversion rate is your most important number. It's what we call a forward-looking KPI. By looking at you know, in Facebook and other things like that, you'll see people complaining about. There was one the other day complaining about low. Their sales are falling and they don't know why. You look back into it and it's basically their conversion rate's been falling and their sessions have been following with it. And so they've gone from quite small changes to quite longer, quite drastic changes as it goes on, because these things will deal with how these work in the multipliers. We'll look at it a bit further. But basically, if you've got a higher converting product, then Amazon will start to rank you, make you better. So if your conversion rate is better than your competitors, then Amazon optimizes the traffic to your listing. I mean, they'll place your product higher in the listing. They'll place your product on other competitors' product pages. People also bought or you may be interested in. Now, the good thing about Amazon businesses is that you don't have to optimize the traffic. Amazon's doing that for you. If you're having an e-commerce store, then you've got to do all this optimization of your traffic yourself. So if you have some of you may have e-commerce stores and you've got all this traffic coming to your site, well, then you're going to be putting your best-selling products on the front page, but that requires work to do that. And Amazon's already doing that for you. So from what I understand of the product search algorithm that Amazon have, is first they find all the products that fit best into that search term. So it's and that's your back-end factor, your back-end keywords, the keywords you're using in your title, whether or not they use them in your bullet points, etc. So they'll get all the products that they believe fit into that the best fit for that search term, and then they'll rank those products that return the best margin to Amazon. So they'll have an algorithm or a formula that basically is very similar. It's very similar to a lot of other businesses that have, it's a gross margin return per session. Now, there'll be, within that, it's obviously, they want to put the products that are most likely to convert. I mean, if people haven't bought within 3 minutes or whatever the period is, or added to the cart within that period, then they know that they're going to lose them. So they want to put the most likely products that are going to convert and earn them a commission plus their FBA fee, plus etc. Now, within that, there is also, within that ranking algorithm, there will also be a sales history. But what we're seeing is when you say you've got a promotion on, you're giving away products, you've got a high conversion rate because of that, Amazon will give you the benefit of the doubt to see whether your product sticks with these free conversions, and obviously high conversions with the free giveaways, etc. But it's then they'll start to drop off if organically they can't generate their own level of sales. The best-selling products and the ones that have the growth, and we'll see this a bit later when we have a look at some of these figures, is those with the best converting conversion rates. So let's look at the green product. Again, it's on the front page, and there's some interesting graphs in this. We can see this is a price and conversion rate graph, and where we've just and you can see it started in September. If we look at it, there's a gap here, so he's testing prices. We've got prices dropped here and the conversion rate's gone up, and we'll look at what that meant later. But then he's kind of dropped his increased his price slightly, and we've got this conversion. So we've got some, it's interesting to tell, and we'll look at another product where he's got these it's something you need to look at on a regular basis to see what the relationship between price and conversions is for your business, for your products. In some cases, you might see that as your price increases, your conversion rate goes up because of perceptions of quality, etc. We're looking at now a conversion rate. It's about 18% on the conversion rate. He's kind of mucking around with the prices a bit there, but it tends to stabilise a bit. So let's look at the blue product. Again, this is on the first page, and we're interesting seeing almost an interesting correlation between the conversion rate and price. So through here, we're seeing when the price was higher, he was actually getting a better conversion rate. Now, the question, you've also got the question of, well, what is the volume on there? The interesting thing about this is we're not seeing this inverse relationship too much on this product. And this product is basically double the cheapest product on there. The cheapest product is ranked a bit higher. This is on the first page, but he's still getting a 25% conversion rate. He's not in the top 3 or 5, not in the top 5, but fairly close. Again, I mentioned before, within any product, any niche, there appears to be 2 segments, and the high price segment will kind of make 10 times more money than the low price segment, and quite often will have similar volumes as the lowest price. Okay, let's look at the benefit of hindsight. Could we have made different decisions along the way? It's always good. Benefit of hindsight makes it easy, but can we? What can we learn from these figures? Let's look at something firstly that went really well, and Christmas bonus. This is the green product. It basically started in September, October. By November, we've got $6,000 in sales. In December, it jumps to basically $29,000 in sales. So massive jump in sales, $23,000 increase, drops back again, and after this is not a Christmas product. It's not something like Christmas tree decorations or something like this. This is so let's look at the 4 factors that made this a massive month. First, we ended up with this double bonus along the way. So we ended up with conversions increasing from 20% to 29%. So we've got a 45% increase in conversions. And we also ended up with a massive jump in sessions. So that's the number of people visiting his page. From 1,000 in October to 2,000 in November to 4,000 in December. So between November and December, we got basically 100% increase. We doubled the conversion, doubled the sessions in December. So we've gone from in November, we've gone from 20% of 2,000 sessions with a 20% conversion rate, which equals 400 units. We'll go to this. And then in December, he's gone from 4,000 sessions with a 29% conversion rate. So we've only got, if we add those two together, we've got a 20% increase in conversions and a 29% increase in sessions. So if you add those two, it's 49%, but it actually led to 1,060 units, so 190% increase in the number of units sold. So we ended up with this double bonus. Sorry, we're 145% to 190%. So, but there was another bonus in relation to this, and as the conversion rate increased, and he was always testing price, he started putting up the price over Christmas. So it's something to remember that if your conversion rate is over 20%, you should be testing, whether it should be increasing the price as well, just to test where that particular market is. And so we ended up with the price going from basically around $17.50 to $25, which is a 42% increase in price. So fantastic thing there. So we end up with 190% increase in the number of units and a 42% increase in price, which led to a 380% increase in sales. So when sales went from $6,000 to $29,000. But in fact, it multiplies again because we got a 380% increase in sales. So profit went from basically $2,500 in November to $17,500 in December. So we got a $15,000 increase in profits, 600%. The gross profit rate increased from 43% to 60% in that period. So by looking at his numbers and understanding where things were going, he's got this Christmas bonus. I mean, this is a massive increase in the level of profit of his business. I mean, one way to look at it is he's made more in that 1 month than the whole year put together. So we look at the sessions increased by 100%, conversion rate increased by 45%, the price increased by 42%, gross profit rate increased by 40%. So added all together, you'd say, okay, well, that's a 227% increase, but it resulted in a 600% increase in profits. It's important, these type of numbers are really what you should be looking all the time. I've given another webinar on just how these multipliers work around, and just by small increases in each of these multipliers, it can have a massive impact on your bottom line. So the successful businesses are looking out for always increasing these figures and making sure that if they're increasing one, they're not taking it away by decreasing another. For Amazon businesses, you really need to be looking at that conversion rate. It's just so important, because what happens is you increase your conversion rate and the sessions will start to follow. So let's look at another issue that appears to happen along the way. We're looking at January. So we've had this exceptional month in December, and then in January the sales have fallen back to 2,500. So from almost 30,000 down to 2,500. And if we remember, it's kind of painful. You're seeing potentially this great product that you've got all disappearing at once. And so we need to look at, just remember, the sales is a function of three factors: sessions, conversion rate, and price. So over that time, he's boosted his price to $25 and then brought it back to $15 over the Christmas period. But the reason for the decrease wasn't necessarily his conversion rate or the price or anything else. Just the number of sessions dropped in for this product. The number of people visiting the pages. I don't believe anything really happened to the product itself and its ranking. Just less people wanted that product in January. So the principal reason, and we have got a decrease in conversions there, but the principal reason appears to be just sessions have fallen more than anything else. So there seems to be a bit of a delayed reaction here, in that the sessions have fallen, he's looked at what's happened, and he's dropped his price again. Now, the reason probably wasn't his price issue as the major factor, but it's a bit of panic along the way. The principal reason was, post-Christmas fall in sales, in sessions. And we can see there is a difference here. We have picked up a bit of, there is a conversion rate boost. So he's dropped his price down to basically $12, and we have got a bump in the conversion rate along the way. And that's kind of continued, but he's bumped that up. But the important thing to consider here is the gross profit. So basically, we're we're looking at this low level of profits in January, but that's primarily due to the fall in number of sessions. And we've got, even though his conversion rate's gone up, everything seems, we've only made, $1,000 on that month, which is pretty poor. He's then increased his price over the next few months to maintain his gross profit level. And we're looking at that continuing along the way. There's an issue here, of course, in terms of these pricing, but he's kind of always testing where that is. So let's look at the future and what we could see in relation to this business and what issues we've got. The first one is we've got this declining conversion rate in relation to the red product, which is obviously concerning. And he did identify that it was some quality control issues, which he's now addressed. And that's the conversion rate on red seems to be improving, but it's getting, that red product is getting down into the danger zone where it will just start falling away in terms of traffic. The green product seems to be fairly stable, sitting about 17-18%, and the red product, the blue product rather, is a very good 25%. With the sessions, we've got this great trend. Remember, sessions are increasing by 14%. We've got blue increasing at a great level. There's nothing wrong there. We've got the drop in sessions there due to they ran out of stock. In terms of green's kind of holding its own a bit, and red's obviously falling away. And if we just looked at this, we can look at it and say, okay, he's got an 18% conversion rate, and the sessions are kind of stable. They're kind of moving around a bit. At 25% conversion rate, his sessions are increasing. So, and at 13%, the sessions are falling. So what it's meaning is that if you've got a product that is in the 20 to 25% conversion rate, Amazon's going to start sending you all the traffic. Remember, Amazon is growing anywhere between 25 to 55% per annum. So it's continuing to grow. And if we just look at this, it'll be interesting to see if we're seeing other numbers in relation to this. I know some of our clients with very high conversion rates are seeing great benefits along the way. Their traffic just keeps on growing. Whereas it'd be interesting to see at what point you're getting this stable conversions or whether you're getting this declining conversions. If you've got conversion rates that are low, under 10, you're going to find it problematic in terms of everything else. And just remember, someone with it just means someone with a 20% conversion rate compared to someone with a 10% conversion rate, their advertising is going to be half the price. So they're at a significant advantage with that. So you should always be kind of concentrating on improving your conversion rate. If we look at the pricing issues here, they're all, the pricing going forwards, he's starting to drop back a bit of the prices, but he's kind of testing where that market is. Probably a question of whether it needs to start competing, but he does bounce that around. I would be concerned if those prices continued to have a declining trend. Before we dealt with the Christmas one, where it was this multiplier effect of increasing sessions, increasing conversion rate, increasing prices, increasing gross profit, leads to an exponential growth. It also works in reverse. So we've got, so you don't want to be in the position where you've got all these multipliers decreasing, because the first month it might not be too big, but it starts getting exponentially bigger and you can see your business disappear quite quickly. Sales, we're kind of seeing the combination there. Declining gross profits, he's knocked off his price to declining sessions, and we've got this declining price. It's kind of showing up through there. The blue product, obviously going very well. We're seeing an increasing trend there other than the May period. The other issue is we've got this high reliance on the blue product. So he's got a high degree of reliance on one product for basically most of his profits, which becomes concerning in terms of you running a business and looking at having everything reliant on one thing. And if you're looking at all on Amazon, you all depend on Amazon and one product into Amazon. He's actually gone out and looked at other products along the way. In terms of this, from my discussions, this declining red has been addressed, and that's moving, been fixed up by improving the conversion rate, getting a better product, getting some better reviews in there, as well as the blue product's just going well. There are always going to be challenges along the way. So what can we learn from this? Your conversion rate's your most important number. I can't say that enough. It's just everything drives from it. He removed his the unprofitable product. It was kind of the orange product. Started off at 4%. It never really got any good. The product was starting to be discounted, lowering gross profit. It was limiting his ability to grow and generate cash flow. The average gross profit at the moment is 33%. It's showing a declining trend, which would start to affect his cash flow and his ability to keep growing, especially if the growth's showing at 10% a month in sales. When you're looking at declining sales, I saw someone come up with this in relation to why their sales were falling. It's always a function of sessions, conversion rate, and price. It's just a question of where the problem is, and it will usually be in either a sessions or conversion rate. I mean, it's one of the first things we go to, and so if you're looking at why your sales are bad or what they should do, it's just, okay, is it a sessions issue? Is it a conversion rate issue? Because Amazon takes care of the traffic, I mean, if you're running an e-commerce store, you've usually got either of two problems. You've got a conversion rate issue or a traffic problem. But Amazon's got mountains of traffic. So really, for Amazon businesses, it becomes a conversion rate issue. We talked a bit about past KPIs. So they're things that are looking in the past, what's happened up till now. And a past KPI is sales. That's what sales we got last month. But if you're looking at what's happening, where your business is going, you start looking at the forward KPIs, and that's going to be the trend in sessions and conversion rates. The reason, if you look at sales just in itself, you're looking at you don't know whether it's a sessions or a conversion rate issue. I had a look at one of our clients recently, and their sessions were slightly decreased, showing a declining trend, not much, but they'd had an increasing conversion rate. So their sales hadn't actually changed, but it was it was a reason for concern is, okay, these sessions are starting to drop off. What's the reason for that?